Living in the forest can be very boring, especially if you are a lonely owl. This owl, all he did was to talk to the moon and stars every night, while in the mornings he only limited himself to watching the other animals play at the foot of the tree where he lived. The owl had seen many games throughout his life. He managed to see the bears play the longest nap, the squirrels competing for the most acorns, and the boas play hide and seek. But in silence, the owl never dared to ask permission to one of these animals to play, because as everyone knows, owls are serious animals, so they do not need to have fun. However, one day the owl, who by the way had very good eyesight, saw in the distance a rabbit that would not stop jumping. For a moment he thought it was asking for help, but as the rabbit got closer, he noticed that it was simply he was playing along apparently. He liked to jump a lot. The owl panicked because he was getting closer to his tree, so he decided to pretend to be asleep until the rabbit left. The problem was that the rabbit had stayed, and after spending the day jumping, he fell asleep at the foot of the tree. That night, everything was different. For the first time in a long time, there were no stars and the moon was nowhere to be seen. This made the owl feel lonelier than ever because, after all, the moon and the stars were his unique friends, and that night they were gone. The owl could not rest looking all night, but after a few hours looking at the night emptiness, he remembered that at the foot of the tree where he lived there was a little bunny just as lonely as he was, and this made him feel less lonely. And after meditating, he closed his eyes and managed to sleep. The next day, the owl woke up very early because the noise made by the rabbit was extremely unbearable. He decided to go down to ask her to leave. "You're very noisy and you jump a lot. I want you to leave my house, please," said the owl. "I really like your tree because excuse me for bothering you. I thought you would like to have company," said the rabbit, a little sad. "I don't need company. I'm always alone, and I like the calm and silence of my home," the owl said, very moody. But the rabbit realized that the owl just needed some encouragement, so he got an idea. Then the rabbit would jump around and propose a game to the owl. "Well, I think that nobody likes to be alone. So I propose this to you. Let's play something that you like and then something that I like. In your case, you can play to be in silence and upright for as long as possible. What do you think?" said the rabbit, very happy for his idea, while the owl, who was very upset, began to lower his guard because he liked the idea. "Okay, I like it, but we will do it at the top of the tree. I will take you there," said the owl and raised the rabbit to the top immediately for both of them to start playing. The rabbit, who was yet restless, made a great sacrifice to be able to play with the owl, and after a couple of hours, the owl seemed very happy to do something that he liked a company. "Very good. Now let's play something that I like. Let's jump until we get to the next tree," said the rabbit very enthusiastically, but the owl was not very convinced about it. "I'm not going to play that. I don't like to jump," said the owl while he turned his back to her. "Don't be rude. I did something that I didn't like just to share time with you. Forget it. I'm leaving." The rabbit told him very angrily, and he walked away. One night passed and the owl could not sleep because he kept thinking that he had made a mistake and had no idea how to fix it. But after talking to the moon and stars, he had a great idea, and he could not wait until the next day to start working on it. Thus, the owl started what he would call the circuit. It involved several challenges. He could start with a jumping route over the swamp until he reached the third tree in the forest. Then he would have to find a coin hidden in the bushes of the forest. And finally, they would climb to the top of the tree where the owl lived, to immediately looking at the sky. It was dawn, and the owl had finished putting together the whole circuit. He could not wait to tell his new friends the rabbit what he had prepared for both of them. So he started walking all over the forest looking for him. Several hours passed and the owl could not find the rabbit, and when he was about to give up, he managed to see a herbal curl up under a tree. He approached to speak because it was the rabbit. He looked very lonely and sad. Ha ha ha, hi, said the owl timidly. But the rabbit was still angry and he turned away not to answer. I know you're upset still, but I came to apologize. I behaved very badly to you. It was not my intention, said the owl. I hear you, said the rabbit. It was very selfish of me not to take into account what you would like to play, and this time I did it. I prepared a surprise for you. The owl told him, and the rabbit agreed to follow him, as he was always very curious about surprises. When they reached the site, the owl explained what the secret was and how he should do it. And so, after a brief explanation, both managed to complete the circuit. However, although they believed they were alone, it turned out that there was a small animal that was observing them from the bushes. It was an ant, which also loved games. But because it was very small, it did not usually hang out with large animals. The next morning, the owl and the rabbit made a new circuit, which would include the challenge of looking for food to give to other animals. Then the ant wanted to play, but they did this circuit only for large animals, so they did not know if it was safe to let them participate. Sorry, we are afraid you could get hurt, said the owl and the rabbit. The ant was very disappointed, but accepted the answer. At that moment, the owl had an idea to make a new circuit that was adapted to the ant's abilities, such as carrying food twice its weight, using its sense to listen to strange noises, and of course climbing trees. The owl and the rabbit had to do this circuit quickly so that the ant could see the surprise. After finishing the circuit, they ran to break the news to the ant, which cried when it saw that these animals did it just for him. Thus, the three decided to go through this circuit like a team and finish the last phase in the tree house where the owl lived, accompanying him to chat with the moon and the stars. And then the ant and the rabbit began to feel very comfortable. Finally, the owl invited them to move into his house. They just had to enlarge it a little, and there was a piece of cake as a reward if they worked together. After all, the owl understood that everything was easier when you can take into account the interest of others. So the three could live in perfect harmony, respecting each point of view. The rabbit could also jump all day to the edge of the tree. The ant could carry the amount of food that he wanted daily. And the owl could continue dedicating the night to feel the friendship and the accompanying of the moon and the stars as much as he wanted.